Tonight on Newswatch, a lecture this week questions whether physical inactivity resembles that of a disease.
And also this week, deaf awareness will be raised. Find out tonight on this edition of Newswatch.
March Madness is on its way, and the Cyclones are coming into the tournament with high expectations. I'll tell you more in sports.
Plus, spring-like temperatures are on the way. We'll have more on your weather coming up.
And the Oscars might be over, but I'll tell you what you can expect from the Oscar-winning film Whiplash. Find out on Real Talk.
Good evening and welcome to the March 4th edition of Newswatch. I'm Maria Lazignoli.
And I'm Danielle Carpenter. Thanks for joining us. The government of the student body met last Thursday to discuss alternatives for VISHA this year. One option is for the event to be held in the fall, making it philanthropic, providing activities earlier in the day, possibly having no concerts, and to keep its focus primarily on the college's achievements. Another possibility would be to let the event remain in the spring with all of its activities and representation of the school's success being shown. Regardless of the outcome for VISHA, the goal is to be able to celebrate the event in a positive, safe environment.
If you are a couch potato, you may be considered diseased. This is according to Mayo Clinic's Dr. Michael Joyner, who is a leading voice in the world of exercise psychology. In fact, he is presenting a lecture tomorrow entitled Physical Inactivity. Should we consider it a disease? Joyner will talk about how his work focuses on how humans respond to various forms of physical and mental stress during exercise. His lecture is tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the Great Hall of the Memorial Union, and it is free and open to the public.
Iowa State's annual Relay for Life is returning to campus this Friday, March 6th from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. at Lee Gym. This is the 16th annual Relay for Life that ISU has had that is about raising money for the fight against cancer. This event is made possible by the Colleges Against Cancer organization that helps put together several events each year at school and throughout Ames. You can find out more information at relayforlife.com.
The College of Design looked like a circus today when thousands of balloons were released from the 5th floor of the atrium. This balloon shower was for a school project that had to do with community involvement. The group of students fundraised money to put gift cards and coupons into the balloons, so you can imagine it was a colorful popping frenzy when they released the balloons at noon.
Last week, Iowa State recognized National Eating Disorders. This week, ISU is focusing on Deaf Awareness Week. This is about bringing awareness to the deaf culture, and it will contain events here on campus for students to attend. Besides Tuesday's events and the fundraiser held on campus earlier today, students can attend a free movie, The Hammer, on Thursday at the MU from 7 to 10:30 p.m., followed by an open panel. And Friday from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m., students have the opportunity to learn sign language held by the ASL Club and ISU After Dark, also at the MU.
This January, the Ames Police Department caught 16 restaurants involved with selling alcohol to minors. The cafe was one of them. Because of this, the cafe has a new rule where they will no longer be accepting vertically oriented licenses. This applies even if the customer is 21 years old, and this is only for people who have licenses in the state of Iowa.
National Eating Disorder.
Welcome back from the break. I'm going to talk about some sports. March is here, and with that comes some good news and some bad news. Good news, it's tournament time. That's right, March Madness is among us. But the bad news, there are no more regular season games at Hilton Coliseum. But fortunately, there was a little Hilton magic left in store for the ISU women's team as they hosted third-ranked Baylor for Senior Day. In the previous meeting with the Bears in Waco, the Cyclone women looked completely outmatched, losing by over 30 points. But Sunday would be a different story. The Cyclones came out competitive on defense and forced 8 turnovers in the first half. Despite the great D, the Bears still went into halftime up by 1. Iowa State continued to trade punches through the second half with the top team in the Big 12 in a game that featured 15 lead changes. In fact, it wasn't until midway through the second half that a pair of Kid Blaskowski free throws gave the Clones a double-digit cushion. But even that didn't last long, as Baylor was able to storm back and bring things within one. Fallon Ellis would not be denied on senior day, though, as she was able to seal the deal with a late steal, which led to a Blaskowski layup in a 76-71 final. This was the third win the women's team had the season over a top 10 team. The women's team did drop their last regular season game in Lawrence against Kansas and will play their first Big 12 Conference Tournament game against Oklahoma State on Saturday. The swimming and diving team competed in their Big 12 championship Saturday. The Cyclone swimmers not only put up some good results, but a program best second place finish. In fact, it was a meet full of program bests. Freshman Casey Roberts broke the school record for the 200-meter breaststroke twice in one day. One during the prelims with a time of 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and again in her third place finish where she was able to knock another second off of her time. Other record-breaking times included freshman Mary Kate Luddy, who finished fourth in the 200 fly with a time of 2 minutes flat. Leading the divers was Elise Broylette, who posted an all Big 12 third place finish from the platform with a score of 242.85. The divers will head to Iowa City next week to compete in the NCAA Zone 5 diving qualifiers. The swimmers will have to wait and see if they qualify for the NCAA championships later this month. And in case you didn't hear, and I mean hear, Hilton Coliseum Monday night, the men's team ended their last home game with a bang. I've got the highlights for you right now.
It was Big Monday and senior night in Hilton Coliseum, a perfect opportunity for the Cyclones to right the ship after a 2-game skid. But in the first half, it appeared the Sooners had other plans. Buddy Hield cans a 3 right here. He had 26 points on the night. Then here, Ryan Spangler with the putback, he had 11 rebounds. In contrast, the Cyclones couldn't get anything to fall in the first. Monte Morris with the miss on the step back. Then George Niang with the driving kick to Naz Long, who clanks the long-range shot. The Cyclones had a season-low 18 points in the first half. Going into the second half, the Sooners didn't show signs of slowing down. Hield here again with a beautiful spin move. In a big moment here following the Spangler block, Oklahoma's Isaiah Cousins gets a technical for talking smack towards the bench. This would lead to the start of an Iowa State comeback. And then Niang with a kick to Monte Morris from downtown. Splash. Morris was 3 from deep. The Cyclones were just getting started on what would be an eventual 22-0 run, which was capped off here not just by a Dustin Hogue dunk, but also a Dustin Hogue 3. Hilton Magic in full force as Iowa State puts up 59 in the second half to edge the Sooners 77-70. For ISU TV, I'm Logan Murata.
The men will play their last game before the Big 12 tournament Saturday against TCU. Tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. And that's all I have for your Cyclone Sports Report. So it's snowing tonight, Brandon. What else can we expect in weather?
Yeah, we had a freak snowstorm earlier that came through, but once that moves out, we're looking at sunshine and very warm temperatures for the coming week. We'll have more on that coming up. And welcome back to Newswatch 18. Sorry about that. The highs today, we did make it up to 26 in Ottumwa, 30 in Des Moines, and 26 in Ames. We had some warmer temperatures out in Council Bluffs. Currently outside the studio here, we are looking at 15 degrees with cloudy skies. Those clouds are moving out. The winds are north-northwest at 13 miles an hour. And current temps statewide, we're looking at 17 in Des Moines with a blustery 4 in Mason City, warmer conditions down to the south. The current winds are quite brisk out there. We're looking at 15s, teens for most of the state with 9 in Waterloo, higher winds down to the south, and that's creating those cold wind chills with 1 in Ames, -14 up in Mason City, so very cold. We're looking at a -15 wind chill overnight tonight for the central part of the state. Clouds and radar, there's that weird snow shower that came through Ames and central Iowa. Now moving out, the clouds are moving out with it, and you'll see behind it very clear skies. But the big picture is down to the south here, where they're getting a lot of snow mixed with ice in that pink region there, and the green are heavy rain showers that are moving through, so they're expecting a lot of weather for the south and east, and that'll move out as time goes on. Lows tonight, we're looking to get down to -1 in Ottumwa, -10 in Mason City, but there's good news. This should be our last cold night that we should see in a while. Highs tomorrow, it'll be on the chilly side with 17 in Ames, 20s and 30s as we get out west, and the futurecast will show that the clearing will continue Thursday and into Friday. We could see some clouds move in Friday. No, nothing in terms of precipitation, and we should stay dry for the rest of the week here. Tonight we're looking at -7 with cold conditions. Winds are north-northwest, 6 to 14 miles an hour. Tomorrow is not correct. Sorry, that is not correct. We are going to get to about 17 degrees. 41 is the high for the day after that, and we're looking at northwest winds 5 to 9. Those winds will turn to the south, bringing that warmer temperatures from the south. That's what we call warm air advection. That'll raise our temperatures to the 40s. And yes, we're looking at 53, 57 for Tuesday. And yes, I did include a 60 for Wednesday with sunny skies the rest of the day. So it should be a pleasant one as we go on. Seth?
The Oscars have come and gone. Some flicks were snubbed, others were massively successful. A film that claimed 3 Oscars was the relatively low-budget film Whiplash. Whiplash is the story of a jazz band leader, Fletcher, portrayed by J.K. Simmons, who teaches at the prestigious Schaefer Conservatory in New York City. Fletcher takes Andrew, a young drummer with incredible potential, under his wing, giving him a shot to play in the school's top performance jazz band. What follows can only be described as intense psychological and physical tests akin to boot camp that seek to push Andrew, played by Miles Teller, to his absolute limit. Fletcher's methods move members to tears. He demands greatness and is willing to disparage anyone who gets in the way of perfection. In a particular scene, Fletcher pits 3 drummers against one another for a chance to be first chair and in the corps. After 5 hours of playing, Teller and others are bleeding on the drum kit, sweating and nearly ready to pass out. This scene is indicative of the lengths that Fletcher demands his band members go for their craft. What's especially interesting about this film, and what helped it win the Oscar for Best Editing, is that Miles Teller actually played the drums throughout the film. While many shots appear to be a single take, due to some clever editing techniques, the filmmakers were able to create the illusion of continuity from several shots spliced together. Whiplash also won the Oscar for Best Sound Mixing and will undoubtedly have jazz fans tapping their feet for hours after the film has ended. J.K. Simmons more than deserved the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, as he portrays a ruthless anti-hero who we as the audience develop a strange affinity for. A man who claims the most dangerous words in the English language are "good job." Did the ends justify the means? Do the students deserve intense verbal abuse? Did Fletcher take it too far? In the end, that's for you to decide. If you like jazz, if you like psychological thrillers, and if you can enjoy quality cinema, give Whiplash a shot, and I guarantee you won't be sorry. I'm Seth Hansen, and this has been Real Talk.
National Eating Disorder Week was this past week, and many events and activities took place to raise awareness. Annie Harmon has the story.
This past week, Iowa State held its Eating Disorder Awareness Week from February 19th through the 27th. Eating Disorder Awareness Week is part of a National Eating Disorder Awareness Week and always happens the last week of February across the country. Here shown is the mindful eating activity. Michelle Rowling of ISU Services talks more about the benefits of mindful eating.
There are many benefits to having programming on campus. Primarily, we're really wanting to raise awareness around eating disorders and the many, many people who are impacted. We know that 1 out of 10 college students has a diagnosable eating disorder, and that 3 out of 10 college students have some form of disordered eating or unhealthy relationship with their body. If you look statistically at the number of students we have, that puts us over 3,500 students with a diagnosable eating disorder interacting here on campus. And we really want them to know they're not alone, and we really want them to know that there's an option of treatment and certainly a lot of hope.
ISU has had programming in regards to the event for over 20 years. Michelle talked about the changes this year to the week's events.
Well, in the last 3 years, we've had a student organization step up called Body Image and Eating Disorders Awareness Organization. And in addition to this week of events in February, we're doing events throughout the year. And so we're really just wanting to break down myths. This year's big myth we were trying to break down was that it's a female struggle, and that's not true. 50% of those struggling with eating disorders are males. And next year we're throwing around several different ideas, one of which is looking at crash dieting and the medical impacts on that, as well as medical situations and the connections with eating disorders, such as diabetics and eating disorders and people with irritable bowel, and how all of that is very connected.
All right, thank you very much. Michelle has also spoke on the success of the events on campus, like the mindful eating event shown.
We have had fantastic turnout at our events. We started last Thursday on the 19th with author Brian Cuban coming in to talk about his recovery story. He has multiple addictions and has written a book called Shattered Image about his struggle. There were well over 300 students that attended his event that night. Saturday we had a big event in Des Moines, really training of the trainers and of students in the pre-professional fields. On Tuesday we showed the Demi Lovato documentary and had a question and answer panel. On Wednesday was Rock Your Body over at State Gym, and students came in and out, enjoyed smoothies and fun activities. Last night we presented the athletic image, and we had quite a few Iowa State athletes attend that event, talking about intuitive eating and the balance between nutrition and your activity. And then we're wrapping the week up here today with a mindful eating activity.
And what are your future goals for this week here at Iowa State?
Thank you for watching Newswatch.
Join us next Monday for all of the news and sports that matter to you.
And from all of us here at ISU TV, have a great night, Ames.